My story is that it was about 4 years ago, and I found out I had cancer with a checkup from the doctor, and it was colon cancer. And I remember finding out at work, and I got the phone call, or I had gone to my doctor and gotten back to work, and I thought, oh, I have cancer. It actually does. So after that, then I went through chemo. She said, you don't really need to go through chemo, but it's your choice, and she would recommend it. So I did a round of chemo, and it was hard. And after that, the cancer came back again, and this time it was stage 4 cancer. Medical people have said things like, if you do this procedure, it'll help you live a little bit longer. My doctor said she was devastated at the news that she had to tell me, but Gwen, miracles can happen. And so they haven't said, how long they'd expect me to live, but they don't really say there's a cure. Because I was asking you, well, how do I stop the tears? And usually, and I ask God, to help me, and what should I do? And I want to learn from you in this. And I think typically when we ask God for things like that, what should I do in this situation when we're going through an affliction? Typically, He speaks to us about attitudes, not about the circumstance. So that time, my attitude was self-pity, and that's an attitude that I can get into. So I said, okay, I know I'm having self-pity, but I'm having a hard time getting out of this. I don't know how to get out of this. So I said, I really need you to talk to me, God.
Do you feel like that? Or does it feel the same as before?
No, I feel different because I'm in a lot of pain. So
you're in chronic pain right now.
So I know that it is a condition that's terminal.
Okay.
So it's interesting to go through something where you know that death could be around the corner. And it's so neat to go through that, knowing God is with you, and it gives you such an interesting perspective on life. Life just has a different perspective than it used to. When I wake up each morning, now I say, oh, God, I'm alive another day. When I look at my priorities, they're just different than they used to be. They're all relationships. That's priorities. First, God's relationship with God, family, friends. It's all about relationships, and that's what the priorities come down to. And God does talk to you. He's very real. And through this whole experience, I've found Him extremely close and alive and real, and giving peace, and doing everything He says He will do for you in the Bible. And so I wouldn't trade the experiences for anything that I've had with God and the closeness. So.
How do you feel like your relationship with God has changed since all this has kind of come about or grown?
My relationship with God is so close. It's like all day long you feel Him. I sort of called it the experiences I've had with God. I call it close encounters of the God kind.
Okay.
Because there has been so many, and they've been so wonderful. And I think hope was a really important thing for me to have because, as I was talking before, I can get into the self-pity. So I can just sort of hole up in my self-pity and really enjoy it. Think of all these self-pity kind of things. And He did. He wanted me to go through this with the hope that I could be restored. I don't know. Of course I don't know if I'll be restored. And probability and statistically, I wouldn't be. But He wants me to go through this, thinking that way, and looking at every day as one where I can walk with Him. And He's just been, there's been other experiences that have been just phenomenal to me in this, my relationship with God through this. I don't want to have cancer. I want to live. I want to see grandchildren, but I wouldn't trade the experience of the things, how close He's been to me. And my advice probably has mainly come from God, and it's mainly been in the Bible. I think the last advice I got is I loved, and it's be joyful in hope, be patient in adversity, and be faithful in prayer. And I think if you do those three things, you've really have a lot conquered and a lot answered. And I think it's not hard for me to have hope during this, but sometimes it's hard for me to be joyful in hope.
Right.
So that's the one I've had to work on. Patient in affliction is hard for all of us. I think when we go through an affliction, we want to control it, we want to fix it, we want to fix it quickly. And God has things for us to learn in it, and it's always not a quick fix. And a lot of times it takes patience to get through it.
My thinking has sort of evolved with regard to what's been going on for Gwen. I want Gwen to live a number of more years and us to enjoy retirement and so on and so forth. And I don't know that it's going to happen. And I slowly but surely realized that we're all sort of on loan to each other from God when it really comes down to it. And for me to think solely that way is rather a selfish kind of thought process. And I've realized that God may have other plans and may want her with him sooner. I don't know whether that'll happen or not, but so you sort of have to let him take over.